Hello and welcome to Rando Rob. Each week on Rando Rob, I'll be showing and discussing one item from my large collection of collections. New shows appear every Monday, and throughout the week, I'll be adding older episodes of Rando Rob that were previously only available to my Patreon subscribers. You can watch episodes of Rando Rob on YouTube at youtube.com/Rob O'Hara. Just look for the Rando Rob playlist. Audio versions of the show are available on my website at podcast.robohara.com or through iTunes. Just search for Rando Rob. Thanks for watching or listening, and I hope you enjoy this vintage episode of Rando Rob. So this morning I was just kind of looking through the shelves. I do sometimes. I will walk in here and I will just look at random little things. I enjoy them, and I saw an item over on these shelves. And I thought that's something, I don't know, it's not really interesting, but it just reminded me of some good stories. And so here it is. This is, in one way, the most boring computer-related discs I could show you. In another way, they bring back some of the best memories for me. And this is a box of bonus floppy disks. Made by Verbatim. You can see it says right there, high density. This says mini discs, which is interesting, by Verbatim. I believe these were mini discs. I'm looking over there and it says MD2 high density, double-sided high density. So these are later. These were probably PC based discs, not especially because it says by Verbatim, because the ones that I remember as a kid just said bonus. I'm looking here on the back. It says double-sided high density, soft sectored. I don't really know what that means. It says, yes, right here on the back, for use with IBM Compaq, Zenith, and other high density systems. What else does it say here? Up to 1.2 megabytes formatted. Yeah, so these are definitely later. 1.2 megabyte capacity, equivalent to approximately 600 typewritten pages. First of all, that seems, in today's storage, seems really small. Can you imagine buying a USB stick or something and them going, hey, you can store 600 pages of text on this? I would go, well, that's crap. Throw that away. I want to be able to store 28 versions of every book ever made by man on one USB thing. It goes on to say guaranteed 100% error-free, includes write protect tabs, and then any questions or comments, we'd love to hear them from you. Please call toll-free 1-800-538-8589, the Verbatim bonus. So that is all the information on the back. I love, right off the bat, I love the background pattern. Of course, it's like a halftone fade that you would see in newspapers or newsprint. So that's kind of interesting that they have taken a old technology. I'm sure you could see that right there. And then combined it with, a newer technology, which is floppy disk. So you can see we've got the picture of the floppy disk. It is red, even though these disks are not red. They are black. And then on the side, it just says bonus. Now, I have a couple different boxes of blank floppy disks, and I probably got these either at a thrift store or a garage sale. I don't really remember. But as in the mid-2000s, early to mid-2000s, as I was, it's always a funny question when people say, well, when did you get into retro? Because I got into retro when retro things were new, right? Like, when did you get into the Commodore 64? The mid-80s? When did you... I had for a while, I took it apart because it took so much space and it was not worth it in relative. The space it took up was not equal to the amount of use it got. But I had a 486 computer hooked up for a while. And people would be like, oh man, I remember that. Where did you get that? I was like, no. I bought it new. So yeah, a lot of the stuff, It's not that I got into retro, it's that I never let go of it, and I keep finding new ways to enjoy it. I don't enjoy the Commodore 64 in the same way that I enjoyed it back in the 80s, with new technology, with the Wi-Fi modem, with being able to use the disk images with new games and stuff that are coming out. It is, gives you new ways to experience and enjoy the old hardware. So I just pulled out one of these discs. Now, this is interesting because these discs have labels that are already written on them, but I don't know exactly what they mean. So I'm going to show this to you. And if you could see that, it says user ID equals blank, username equals blank, and then it says JC016. Now, these are definitely PC floppy disks. So I do have a FC5025 floppy card. I guess it's a USB card that interfaces with a 5.25-inch PC floppy drive, and I've started a project multiple times to permanently mount that into a drive, but I've never finished that project, and I'd like to do that, but it is so hot that I can't think. Every time I think, like, it's like a brain zapping ray in Flash Gordon, where I go outside and I go, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do this computer project, and I walk outside and I just go, it's so hot that I can't remember anything, and then I just immediately come back inside. So I would like to do that project to permanently mount for some reason, and there's a technical reason, and I forget what it is, but there's no USB interface for a 5.25-inch PC floppy drive. So that's what the FC5025 is. It is a USB card that on one side's USB, and on the other side you can hook it up to a 5.25. Now, there are USB 3.5-inch PC drives, but not 5.25. I don't know why it's so difficult. If somebody would bundle all these things and put it together in a kit, I think, let's not get crazy. Let's not say fly off the shelves, but there's a certain clientele that would certainly like that. So anyway, these bonus discs are different than the ones that I remember with my Commodore 64, and the main thing that I could tell you that's different about them is that this sleeve here is paper. So when I was a kid and I got these for the Commodore 64, this was like a very shiny plastic almost, definitely a glossy, firm type paper. And as you can see, this is just almost regular paper. I mean, it's not that glossy kind of paper, so it definitely is just regular paper, but it does have the logo on there that says bonus personal computer disk, but they've added by verbatim on all these things. Now, I'm sure most of you know, if you're one of my patrons, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say that you know this, but of course for PC discs you would have just had the one notch, but on a Commodore 64, now of course what you have here is when you rotate this to a certain point, let me do this in the light where I can see it. Let me do it in the light where I can fumble it. Well, unless I missed it going by, I haven't seen it yet. But on an old Commodore disk, eventually you would have. Oh, there it is, right there. Can you see the hole that has lined up there? You should be able to see me through the little hole. Oop, not that hole, but this little one right here next to it. So that lines up, and that would tell the drive that it is lined up. But on a Commodore, see, you have this notch right here, right? And that would tell you. So on a PC, these discs, it would read the top and the bottom at the same time, right? But on a Commodore 64 or any of the older 8-bit computer like an Atari, Apple, I think Apple, would all be using just the top, which actually I believe technically is really, it's reading the bottom of the disk. So you would put this in, and so what you could do is use your disk notcher, which I have a disk notcher right back over there by my Commodore stuff, and you have this notch here, and you would go over here and go boop, and it fits right over here, and you punch it down. If you didn't have a disc notcher, you could use a hole punch. Some people use scissors, but a disc notcher will make it look exactly like this one. And then you could turn the disc over, and you could use the other side of the disc. So the other interesting thing that is in here, so again, here's our disc, is in the back of the box is a pack of disc labels. Now, I could tell you that these are not the right disc labels. These are definitely disc labels for 3.5-inch discs. You can see they're not the right shape for 5 1/4. These are 3.5-inch. So I would never try to use these unless I was really desperate, and I might cut them up and use them. But most discs later, like these, came with these labels already on them. You didn't have to affix someone's label. You can see right there at the top it says MD2 and HD. And then there's a little arrow showing you which way the disc goes in. Now, why would I want to share these? Well, as I've mentioned before on my podcasts and streams and things like that, I had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of discs for my Commodore 64. None of them originals. I did not purchase a single copy of a game. Now, Jeff purchased several. In fact, my parents had a computer store, and he purchased several from our store. But me personally, I never did, because boxes of discs you could get for, I mean, in the early days, like $7 or $8. Then I remember a box of discs like this would be $5 for 10. And then it got to a point where you could start getting them mail order. Actually, $5 for 10 was pretty cheap. When I remember early on, they were $1 a disc. But eventually, I found a place that would sell you 100 floppies for 30 cents. And they would come in a big, like, sheet wrapped, like saran wrap almost, or, plastic around it with no sleeves, or the sleeves would come separate and you had to insert each disc into them separately, But I did that a few times to get 100 floppies at a time, which was way less expensive than just buying them 10 at a time. But to me, when I saw something like this, I saw gold, because it wasn't like I remember for Christmas asking for blank discs. I would rather have blank discs than a game from a store, because you could put a game from a store on this disc, and then you could put a lot of other games, and you could put some more in the back. You notch them all. So really, think of 10 discs is really 20 discs. So yeah, I would as a kid, I would have chosen blank discs over store-bought discs, because this was the gateway to downloading games and storing stuff and doing all that, putting it right there. I didn't have a hard drive, so if you wanted to download games, you had to have floppy disks. That's all there was to it. So anyway, I'm gonna go download some games and fill up these floppy disks, and you guys will be hearing stuff from me soon. I'll see you all Wednesday. Don't forget, on the Wednesday night stream. I'll see you guys soon.